Happy Easter. In today's gospel, John's account of the discovery of the empty tomb, there's a puzzle in the middle of it. A little puzzle, a clue, a hint of something that John, who is the author, who comes to believe at this moment, sees and then suddenly understands that Jesus has not been stolen by grave robbers, but has truly been risen. Because herein lies the crux of the whole matter. There were a lot of great preachers around, people that started political movements, people that had great ideas. Many of them were killed by the Romans, but only one came back from the dead, Jesus Christ. And therein lies the whole transformation of the world. Not that he was some great teacher, but that in him is found both divinity and humanity, the melding of God and humankind in the person of Jesus. And so Jesus entering into human history, taking all the hatred, all the ugliness, all the sin, even death itself, on himself, and then in a revolutionary transformation, changing everything, opening the gates of heaven, bringing meaning to human suffering. You see, if Jesus Christ is not risen from the dead, then he's either the greatest liar of human history, or he is a lunatic, or he's Lord. And suddenly John goes into the empty tomb and realizes he's Lord. Just as we had thought he was, he is Lord. And the only clue that we see is, first of all, that there are burial cloths that are there. Now, of course, this would be a detail that would be important, because if his grave had been robbed, if, as it's purported, that the soldiers and the chief priests conspired to take his body, or to claim to have taken his body, would you bother to unwrap him? You see, we see in just about 10 chapters before the raising of Lazarus, who comes out bound like a mummy. But in fact, what we see in the tomb is something more like a deflated balloon, not the unwrapping of a body. Carrying a big, naked, dead body through the city would have been much more difficult than one wrapped up. But then he also sees, and this is the key, I think, to the puzzle, he sees the cloth covering his face, not with the rest, but rolled up. That aha moment for John, what does that mean? There are many theories, but I think the most probable theory is this. Jesus was a rabbi. It was common for rabbis to wear a headcloth. And it was equally as common for a rabbi when he was dead to be buried with that cloth around his head. The prayer shawl that was so common and so distinctive of a rabbi. And so when John sees that rolled up and not with the others, it was exactly the way Jesus would have done it. When he took his shawl off, he must have rolled it up just as he did, just as all rabbis did, but it must have been a very distinctive thing. He realized not only was his body gone, not robbed by grave thieves, but that it was also truly Jesus. That in the resurrection, Jesus didn't stop being who he was. He was, in fact, the same. True God, true man, true friend, true son. That's what he was all along, true rabbi. And so he sees what he had done all his life and realizes, that's Jesus. That's exactly what Jesus would do. And herein lies a key to each one of us, the transformation of ourselves, the conversion, if you will, the call to eternal life is not a call from ourselves to become something else, Rather, Christianity is the call to be our most authentic selves. That the one God created us to be, the one that God looks at us and says, that's who I know. That's who I made. That's who I planned from the beginning of time. I intended you and me with our own DNA, with our own gifts, with our own talents, all uniquely ours. If alone that doesn't make you believe in God, that there has never been a duplication in all of history, in the billions and billions and billions. The creativity of God speaking forth into you and me. Sin, therefore, is not being ourselves, it's being not ourselves. It's being unkind when we're called to be kind. It's being irresponsible when we're called to be irresponsible. It's being joyful. That's who we're called to be. That's what it means to be a disciple. That the rolled up cloth says that Jesus is the same Jesus from the beginning of time until the end, for all eternity, forever and ever, and he is calling us into that love. He's calling us into that reality. And so it is, my brothers and sisters. This is the power of Easter. The tomb is empty, but he is not dead. He is alive forever and has called us to the same, but most especially to be who he created us to be. Now I'm going to say, praise be Jesus Christ, and I want you to say now and forever. Praised be Jesus Christ. Now and forever. Hallelujah.